So here we have where I start to kind of ask him a little bit about, his happiness and his hobbies. And he admitted that, he's not happy because he doesn't have a social life. And I just kind of challenged him to be able to find different ways to be able to have a social life without the use of alcohol. Then I psychoeducated him on, what it's like to have an addictive personality and that, there can be different ways to pretty much overindulge in certain activities. Then I kind of just talked to him a little bit more about, doing certain things in moderation so that it won't be as harmful. So he shared that, he would like to have better self-control and be in better physical shape. He wanted to pay off the house, where he was currently living. Um, then he shared that he would be happy. He also shared that, he doesn't go out, due to his anxiety. And, that's another big reason why he, doesn't have that many social gatherings. And he shared with me sometimes when he had a couple of panic attacks and uh, he said, again, he would be open to medication, but he doesn't want to lose his drive and passion for life. However, he did share that he wants to learn how to be, more present in the moment and that he wants to be successful as well. And he believes that he may be able to put too much pressure on himself. So in the second session, I'm just kind of asking him a little bit, how his previous week went and, summarizing the last session and what we worked on. And, I really wanted to pick up on what or who has disappointed him in life. I know he talked a little bit about his father, which he brought up again, and, his mother, and he shared that he might have some type of resentment according to his grandparents and that he was really angry when he was a child and he wasn't sure if that was directed at his parents. So I used some empathic understanding to, help him process his emotions regarding his parents and, how he felt and if he feels like, people are really there for him or not. And, he pretty much admitted that he blocks out a lot of his emotions unless he drinks. He said that's when it comes out. He stated that it's easier for him to kind of get through the day if he blocks out his emotions. He said that he mostly just tries to focus on work and to accomplish those things. But he said the only emotions that he can't seem to escape is being angry or annoyed. He thinks that if he changed his diet and his health habits, that he may feel better. And so, I talked to him a little bit about what it looks like to engage in self-care and, and to have a hobby, to find something that he would like to do, not something that he feels like he necessarily has to do. Something that's, fun and not a task to do it, that would make him happy. So, he just kept saying that he wanted to find a new routine, to being able to make himself happy. And, he shared that he doesn't talk or visit with his family much because he feels like he doesn't have anything to show for it. So he has this notion that he has to be able to express, having to accomplish something every time he talks to his family. And he shared that he did feel supported one time, when his family did come to visit him when he graduated from college. And so, I just kind of processed with him, if he has any issues with acceptance, and what that looks like. And, just learning to still be able to have, many conversations with his family where it doesn't have to involve him feeling as if he's accomplished something, but just, checking in and just saying hello. Um, so he reported that, he really feels like he needs to learn how to love himself and forgive himself. And, if he would be kind of open to having those brief conversations with his family. But, I think at that time he just really wasn't that open to it. But he did say he wanted to learn how to live for himself. So keep in mind again, our sessions are usually like a month apart. So um, I'm just checking in again with him to kind of see how things are, what progress he's made. So here again, I'm just kind of reassessing his goals, once I realized that, he's kind of canceled a lot. So, this is when he's just expressing that, he would like to be seen every other week. So we agreed, twice a month. And I normally see him on Saturdays. He said he just wants to really have someone who holds him accountable for, wanting to accomplish some of his goals, and that, he wanted to learn to be more, social and develop, professionally as well with his businesses. So I just kind of work with him to talk a little bit more about what his social life has been looking like as of late. And he shared, that he bought a house, but that he did travel back to Kansas to go to a funeral for his grandfather, I believe on his father's side. And he said his grandparents on his mother's side also invited him out. They lived in Georgia as well, to an event that was coming up pretty soon. And he seemed to be really contemplating about life at this moment, as he talked about, being a little bit sad that his, great grandfather passed away. But he said it helped him to realize, hearing some of the stories that they told during the funeral about how his grandfather helped out a lot. And so he shared that, he also wanted to help out and really help homeless people. And he said that homeless people were more dear to his heart, as, he couldn't fathom the fact of not being able to live in a home. And, he's just kind of shared this is why he works so hard to be able to provide a home for himself, in order to be able to later provide a home for a family. So he shared that, he initially moved back to Georgia to be a little bit closer with his grandparents, although he hadn't really seen them. So he did express, some happiness in the fact that they were inviting him somewhere, and that he was actually open to being able to go to this event. So I thought that was, some progress there coming from, someone who didn't want to talk to the family at all, really, to being more open to going to more social events. So he stated that, he often feels like he can't take a break because, he feels like he's not where he's supposed to be in his life. So, this is why he works so hard. He feels like he really needs, again, to show something for it. So, I just keep encouraging him to, find a healthy balance between his work and his social life, to just be able to know that, there's minor breaks he can take, and spend time with his family as well as, work. And I also just kind of educated him a little bit on psychological stress and how that can really take a hold, on his body, and his mental, to make him not want to work out, and not want to eat right, and I remember him expressing that he was feeling really bad, to have a cupcake. And so I just, kept reiterating that, things can happen in moderation. Just because you have a cupcake doesn't mean, that things will be all bad and, he's ruined his whole diet. So the fourth session, we begin by talking about his goals, and for agreeing for treatment. And he's been sharing that he's, been having some up and down feelings in terms of sadness. But he said he still feels better overall since beginning therapy. He indicated that he feels like he's really improving in his social life, and that he is still trying to be consistent with working out, and that he's done a lot better with taking breaks and spending time with others. He shared that he's had like a housewarming party, and he's invited some of his friends over here and there, and he found a new hobby that he's interested in terms of learning how to paint. So I just talked to him a little bit about, what does he feel like the barriers that are standing in the way from him taking, more breaks from work, taking a vacation. And he just shared that he felt like he's just not a man if he didn't accomplish certain things by, a certain age. And he kept comparing himself to others, I noticed, in terms of his friends, about what they're doing and what they've accomplished at certain ages and the businesses that they've started. And so, I used empathic understanding to just really help him process his emotions regarding, his confidence and, feeling self-fulfilled. And I challenged his thoughts about what it means to be a man. I kind of had him to define a little bit of what that means. Who has shown him what a man looks like. Keeping in mind that he didn't grow up with a father. But maybe he's watched his grandparents work so hard, which them being at a different stage of development in life could add that pressure onto him, making him think that he should be there, even though, he sees them at an older age. He might think he needs to be there at a younger age. So he talks a little bit about, feeling like he needs all the stars to be in line in order to have everything lined up to make, everything to be accomplished, having his finances in order. And he was talking about having a calendar with different goals set on it, but yet he still hasn't learned to prioritize his time in order to accomplish those goals. So, I just talked to him a little bit about what a ledger is and what that looks like, and really finding the balance of the work and the social life. And so, I really pretty much start talking to him a little bit about this homework of what it looks like and how old he will be to have accomplished these goals, to help him not feel as if he needs to have it all together at one time. And he admitted that, maybe he hasn't accomplished or set out to accomplish some of his goals because he has a fear, a fear of not knowing what's going to happen in the end result. Will he be happy? But he also said, he realized that he was standing in his own way, and that he would like to kind of get out of his own way to build that perfect picture for what he thinks it's supposed to be. So in the 5th session, we meet, and I realize, it's been still a whole month and he has not completed his homework. But I remember talking to you guys the last time about what happens when they don't complete their work. And so I decided to go ahead and do it in session as suggested before, and just kind of going over that. So now he's talking to me a little bit about his ex-girlfriend is going to move back from Florida and really wanting to make it work this time. And so now he's telling me a little bit about how he wants her to be in the picture, and this picture of his homework, of having a business at a certain time, and maybe her being a wife, and being pregnant. And he said he wants to be 35 and he's 31 at this time, so he's got this vision in his mind of living in this mansion 4 years later, and eating more healthy and developing his hobby of drawing and doing artwork, and just really talking about the projects and the business. And so I just talked to him a little bit about making sure, he sets out time, for all those wonderful things that he wants to accomplish. And even if he feels like he, can't mark off everything off that calendar, just to spend 20 minutes each day working on it. So when we meet again, that's pretty much where we'll pick off, and just asking, has he made any small strides, on his business and his business plans, and what it looks like now that the girlfriend is actually back, and if they're living together. And I really want to see if I can open him up a little bit about what made them break up in the first place, and see if he can build from there. So that's my client, and let me know if you have any questions. And thank you guys so much for listening.